Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the dangers of land flipping. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Olufemi. I've bought and sold north of 8 figures worth of land now and profited multiple 7 figures. I have not profited 8 figures in land deals yet, but I have made multiple 7 figures flipping land throughout my career. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to avoid these certain dangers and pitfalls in land flipping. And really these lessons kind of go across business, but I've never seen them be super tried and true specifically in the land flipping niche. I mean, first of all, the land flipping model has allowed me to cash flow pretty large in my early and mid 20s now, and has allowed me to invest into things that will take care of my kids, the kids after that, and the kids after that as well. And so I've done okay for myself at my age, but that did not come without a lot of danger. That did not come without a lot of risk. That did not come without a lot of pitfalls, quite frankly. And this is not like a land flipping propaganda video. This isn't clickbait, but these are genuine things that have happened and will happen to you if you try to, embark on this real estate journey, and specifically this land flipping journey. And the first thing that happens is, when you get into this, you can't think that this is something that is going to happen overnight, because like a big danger is when you see someone like me making money flipping land, and you see the deals that I've done, and you see the money that I've made, and you see the life that I'm living. You might think that, like, okay, if I do that, if I do what he does, then that's just going to lead me immediately to getting the result. And that's not always true, right? Because there's a lot of pitfalls that I've had to go through. There's a lot of ups and a lot of downs and a lot of swerve this way, swerve that way. I got to figure this out, and I'll explain all that in this video. But it doesn't just happen overnight. Where you see me now, if you watch my vlogs, you watch how I live, you watch how I operate in my life, where you see me now is the result of years of studying, years of pain, days where I didn't know what was going to happen, days where the night before closing, I'm I can't even sleep, because I'm if this thing doesn't close, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take care of this or take care of that. I mean, I've had some really hard times, running this business. So you have to understand, first of all, this thing doesn't happen overnight. And you have to hold yourself through the time of it not happening overnight and expect that. It's like a business is like raising a family. Your kids don't start out great. Your kids don't start out being professional athletes and being successful. That's not how it happens. It takes time. It takes development. And so you have to be willing to develop your business the same way you develop your family, the same way you develop your body. If you wake up and you decide, you know what, I'm tired of being fat, or I'm tired of being not in the best shape I could possibly be in, I want to have an 8-pack. You don't just click a button and then have an 8-pack. You don't just eat a couple of good meals and have an 8-pack. It's the same exact thing with building the land business. If you decide, hey, I want to get to the point where I can make $500,000, $1 million, so on and so forth with this business, you cannot just say, all right, cool, I'm going to click a button and then I'm going to work with this person, and then tomorrow I should have a business that makes me $500,000. That's not how it works. You got to put in the inputs. You got to put in the work. You have to just do the knowledge consistently. Learn from people that are already doing it, make the iterations along the way, and you will get there. But the problem is, very rarely do people actually do that and then ask the questions and then take the repetitions over and over and over again. You got to make the reps. It's going to be reps. It's going to take time, and you must do that. Now, the other thing that happens when you start land flipping, the pure concept of what we do is to offer owners 30 to 50% of market value and sell right below market value, right? And so we're already starting off offering lower prices to these owners, right? So because we're offering lower prices, you have to understand that there is a there is a certain type of anger that can come from sellers or potential leads when they call you back, right? And I have this happen all the time where someone will call us and they'll say, are you absolutely effing out of your freaking mind? What's wrong with you? And are you crazy? And why would you offer me this? And you think that you're doing something wrong. But when we get calls, what we like to call hate calls, when we start getting those calls, that means that we priced right. Because we are not looking for everyone. You have to understand this is not a game of like, we're trying to buy from everyone. No, we're trying to buy from a select few of people that have a very specific problem that we can solve. And that's what you have to understand about the land flipping model. You're not trying to buy from everyone. You're trying to buy from a select few of people that have a very specific problem that you can solve. And when you're able to solve their problems, then you get paid. That's where you see deals like 50K, 70K, 100K, so on and so forth. That's where you see spreads like that, because we've solved such a big problem for them. And where, hey, I'm delinquent on this, I can't pay that, I'm behind on this, I gotta move this money here. So many different issues I've seen. So that's what you have to understand about just solving the problem. And also just knowing that, like, yeah, it's gonna come with people saying things about you, about your company. You know, people have tried to say that, you know, we don't run a real business. I have that happen all the time. Hey, you don't run a real business. It's not a real business. Like, get a real job. All that, right? And you have to be able to take that flack in order to get through it and solve the problem. And trust me, if you're getting that kind of flack, then that means you're actually on the right road. It's crazy, because you would think the opposite. You would think if someone is telling you like, oh no, it's not going to happen for you, get a real job, I'm never going to sell to you, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, you would actually think, like the normal human mind thinks like, oh, well then I'm probably doing the wrong thing, but you're actually doing the right thing. And so it's a catch-22. So even when it feels like you're doing something wrong, you're doing something right. So that's something to understand. People will like, I mean, gosh, I've heard crazy stories of people like getting a mailer, like so, you know, we send mailers, right? So people will receive someone's letter and they'll not like the offer on it. They will literally wipe their behind with it, and they'll send it back to that person's P.O. box with feces on it. It's pretty disgusting. Viewer discretion advised. But I mean, gosh, luckily, after over 1 million mailers, that has never happened to me. Over 1 million spent on mail. It's never happened to me. And I mean, I'm glad this never happened to me. But I know that it's happened to multiple different people, and I've heard of it. And so these are the things that happen with this business, and these are some of the dangers. I mean, I've personally had people threaten to show up to my house. When I first started doing this in 2021, I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I put my home address on the thing at first. Like for the first mail, I put my home address on there, and the guy was like, I'm going to show up to this address, and I've got my shotgun. And then he sent me a picture of a shotgun. So I've had multiple things happen to me in this business to where I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. And that's why we take precautions. And so like working with someone that can help you avoid these dangers and avoid the landmines in this business is something that will save you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of stress, so on and so forth. And if I would have worked with someone in the beginning, I would have avoided that, because then they would have just said, hey, dude, get a virtual P.O. box. Like, why don't you get a virtual mailbox? And when I started land flipping, there was not nearly as much content on it as there was now, or even wholesale real estate or any real estate. Like, you had to dig deep at that time to find good content. And so it's really important that you understand that, like, there's going to be pitfalls with any business. There's going to be things that happen. Like, maybe if you run an e-commerce business, it takes months and months for your product to deliver, or your stock is held up in some country because there's tariffs, or like, you know, there's so many different things that happen with business. So I don't want you to get into business and then think that like that's the end all be all and solve to your situation, because there's still going to be issues that you have to solve. Now, the other thing that comes with sending offers at 30 to 50% of the market value is, again, you make people upset. And so by making people upset, you can also make the attorney generals of states upset. You can make the counties upset. Sheriffs could also call you and say, hey man, like, you got to stop sending these mailers. This is ridiculous. And this is what people don't talk to you guys about. I always want to be real. Like, people are going to call you, like a sheriff may call you and say, hey, you can't send these offers. It's not illegal to send a letter. It's not illegal to send a letter and make an offer. It will never be illegal to make an offer, right? And the way that we're able to get over this is by really focusing on how well we're positioned in the market. And by that, I mean, how good is our copy? How good is our mail branding? Do we look like a professional company? When the sellers call us, even though we're offering 50% of market value, do we sound like a professional company over the phone? Or do we not? And on average, a lot of these people don't even answer the phone. So most of these land investment companies are not answering the phone. And so if you're not answering the phone and then your mailer looks like everyone else's, well, then what am I supposed to assume? Okay, you're a scammer. So you really want to get away from that language. You don't want to be involved in any kind of, this person's scamming me, or this person is going to grab my land or steal my land, whatever it may be. You want to make it clear that, hey, look, while I'm offering you this, it is an offer. You do not have to accept this. It's up to you to accept the offer. It's just an offer. And so knowing that you're going to pretty much fall into some of these, you may fall into some of these dangers if you're not aware of them. Now, next is just not doing your due diligence properly. So every property that we have currently, we make sure that people actually walk the property. I actually get a verified land broker who I can see has sold property similar to mine to walk every property, every single property, to make sure that it's not covered in marshland, to make sure that it's not covered in wetlands, to make sure that it doesn't run off on a slope, to make sure that the property itself is just a good quality property and I'm not going to run into anything. I mean, I've had properties where on closing day, we get to closing day and there end up being, I don't want to say it on the video, but there was one property I went to, or I didn't go to, but I had someone go to it the day of closing. And there were these environmental protection hazards. There was like environmental protection hazards on the property. And we were like, well, what is that? Like, why is there environmental protection? Well, the owner had been burning a bunch of trash, and the neighbor of the property said that property is known to have bodies buried on it. And so we had to do more research and so on and so forth. But basically, had I proceeded and bought that property, I would have lost a ton of money. So it's just really important to do your due diligence on these parcels and also be like aware, like this is the thing. You cannot force deals. You cannot force deals. You have to make deals happen with follow-up and with good negotiation skills. Like, what I mean when I say force deals, like people start doing this and then they think that they can just get a deal under contract and that now you've got your lottery ticket. But what if you didn't get it under contract at the right price? What if that 100 that you listed it, that you got under contract at, you think you can list it at 130, but what about after all your expenses? What about after the broker expense was maybe as high as 10%? What about title fees? What about perk tests? What about survey? Like there's so many things that can come into account to where if you do not negotiate your deals properly, the 30K you thought you were going to make or the 20K you thought you were going to make, you're actually going to make $2,000 or $1,500. And I've actually seen this happen across many different niches in the real estate space, is people not negotiating properly and then be like, oh, I don't want to get greedy, I'll just do volume. Like, it takes you the exact same effort to do a $50,000 deal as it does a $1,500 deal, and sometimes, most of the time, it takes more effort to do the $1,500 deal than the $50,000 deal, because the profile of person that you're working with is a lot more difficult to work with because they're most likely broke if you're only making $1,500 on a deal. So the premium deals that we deal in, it's not as hard to deal with as the $1,500 deal. So if you're just doing this, you're just starting out, and you think like, oh, it's going to be easier if I just do these smaller deals, you couldn't be further from the truth. You could not be further from the truth. Oh, I'm just going to do volume, it's going to be easier for me to do volume. You could not be further from the truth. Now, as you scale, you do want to do, more volume and bigger deals, so on and so forth, but I will take a 50K deal, one 50K deal, over multiple deals that add up to 50K every day. Every single day, because it's going to take me way less effort. So when it comes to just like building your skills, right, and negotiating, you have to understand, like, it takes time. It takes time to send out a mailer, get good at sending mailers, get good at like the process of follow-up, like following up with your leads. It takes time to get really good at understanding funnels, because all these things are funnels. So when a lead comes in and when you guys contact them, what do you contact them with? Do you contact them with value? Do they know who your company is? Do they have content to consume before they get on the phone with you? All these things are important to gaining the trust from sellers. Extremely important. And if, like, most people don't even have these things. So if you don't have that, well, then of course you're not going to be getting the deals that you want. And like, I'll be like honest, like the land flipping game is completely skill based. You can't AI your way into $100,000 deals. You really can't. It's skill based. And the only way to like acquire and gain skills is simply by knowing which skills you have to acquire and knowing how to acquire the skills and implementing consistently. That's the only way. And so when I have clients that come to me and they need help with like growing their skill set, getting better with their skill set, so on and so forth, it always astonishes me how different they were when they start to how different they are, like, let's say even like 8 weeks working together. Because then they see like, oh, well, this is how you actually have the skill of running a business and keeping a proper CRM. This is how you clean a CRM. Oh, I didn't realize that the reason why I record my calls is so that I can analyze it this way. Oh, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me when I give a seller value within 24 hours of them calling in and I explain who we are, what we do, what we're about, oh, well then they actually like that. They trust me more. Wait, so if I just follow up with this lead on an average of 30 times, it gets way deeper than that. But these are some of the dangers. If you're not going to acquire your skills consistently, if you're trying to AI your way into getting deals, it's going to be difficult. So these are a few things that I have learned along my journey in just making sure that I became a successful land investor and that I can make smart investments and take care of my family and pretty much just not have to answer to anyone and build my companies, help my clients. It's a good life. But it's a good life because I was able to learn the dangers and avoid the dangers of getting to where I want to go. You know, the last thing I want to say, and this goes to just general lesson, you got to be able to protect your money. Like, I mean that like no other. Like that, I've seen so many people come in here, make a lot of money, blow a lot of money, bad partnerships, whatever it is. But like, protect your money. Protect your money, because like every deal, 30% at least should go to something that you're not going to touch. 30% at least. So you make $10,000, put $3,000 away. Every time. Put your money away, protect your money, and grow it, because you know, you only have a short window to do things. Like, life happens in seasons, in chapters. And that's what I've realized about life, is like, it happens in chapters. And like, if you can't be stuck in the same chapter for 5 years, you're going to be burned out, you're going to be tired. And like, yeah, could you be in the weeds for years and years and years grinding away? Sure, but the people I know that are in the weeds grinding away for years and years, they're the most disgruntled people. They're the biggest haters. And they're the most discontent with their lives. I want to be content with my life. I don't sit around and hate on what somebody else is doing. I don't have to put somebody down to make myself look better. I don't have to try to delete somebody's voice to make my voice bigger. I don't have to do any of that, because I'm happy with the chapter of my life that I'm in. I'm happy with where I am in my life. And I'm continuing to grow, and I'm growing quickly. But why? Because I understand chapters. And I understood that my chapter of being in the weeds of everything at that level, that's only a short amount of time. Be in the weeds, make as much money as you can, invest it, continue to do it. But then also understand that, like, now, you know, you're transitioning out of that. Like, now you're trying to get to 8-figure plays. You're trying to get to 9-figure plays. You're trying to get to 10-figure plays. And if I didn't take care of my money, and if I was just stupid and I blew all my money, well, then guess what would happen? If I blew all my money, then guess what? I would be stuck in that just like that cycle of like, okay, I got to get up and grind, And like, it's such a psyop to say like, oh, if you want to like, really become wealthy, you got to work for 30 years and, then you can have something. No, you don't. You just need like you need a good 2 years of mastering the skill and hard work to like make something happen. That's really what like it's about. What it took me. It took me like, because like this is the thing. When I say 2 years too, I don't mean you're gonna make $0 for 2 years and then like on year 2 you're gonna make money. No, I was making money all throughout. But like by the time I got to year 3, that's when it really skyrocketed, because I was putting reps. No social media, no Instagram, no TikTok. I didn't have any of that. I was just grinding on the land business. So, and I was putting my money away, and I was traveling. So you have to be able to put your money away, protect your money. Like, please understand, like, you have a short window. Your energy might wane. You might want to do something else. Like, you're not beholden to this. And that's what I don't like about the land flipping niche, is that like, or just like a lot of niches, like, yeah, am I known for land flipping? Yes. Am I known for doing land deals? Yes. Am I known for making people millions of dollars? Yes. Am I known for making multiple 7 figures myself? Yes. But I'm not defined by what I do. I'm defined by the impact that I make. I'm defined by, when I'm gone, do my kids have something that I pass down to them? Do they have an empire that I pass down? Do they have a legacy? That's what I define myself by, not by doing a few deals. And so when you realize that, you realize like this is just a vehicle to get you to where you want to go, and you should use that and protect the money that you make from it. And I wish you guys all the best, and I really hope that you guys can be successful as possible. And as your big brother, I'm rooting for you.